Those triggers for the most, that's really trigger for her coming into the therapy rather than trigger for the most. We don't really get any information about the trigger for the most recent episode.
But why is she sitting in front of you? She woke up in the middle of the night panicking, and that was the final straw. The presenting issue is the persistent, along the lines of the persistent fear of having an attack and dying. Now, having built up rapport, what you're explaining to the client is she's not here because she woke up in the middle of the night having a panic attack. She's here because she has this persistent fear. And that's where you start explaining the theory behind how you're going to address it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Things that keep the problem going, anything perpetuating. Now, this is often any avoidance issues, avoidance things that the client engages in. Because we know from theory of operant conditioning, if you start to feel anxious and you avoid something and reduce that anxiety, you will continue avoiding it. You reinforce the fact that you have an anxiety issue, and so you have to keep running away from all these things. So that is keeping the condition going because she's doing all these things to avoid it. She's not addressing the root cause, which is what you're going to talk to her about. Some of the other things that are keeping the condition going are her cognitions, that she doesn't believe the medical results. Just a complete disbelief. Things like, well, they tested her after the symptoms. So that disbelief is keeping the problem going. Social isolation, you could also include that in part, because we do know that when you cut yourself off from other people, you end up just ruminating on things. Who's ever spent a day or more at home on your own and your mind goes into overdrive? Yeah. So often a defensive mechanism, I'm going to cut myself off, I'm not going to see anyone in case I have a panic attack. Or I'll start thinking about my panic attacks because I've got nothing else to do. So that is, again, a perpetuating factor. At the very bottom, we also saw that she's got limited insight, which indicates that she's firmly convinced it's a medical problem. And in many ways, that's where your therapeutic rapport is important, because you have to start swinging it all around and explaining the theory that you're developing. And of course, we've got the physiological arousal. I mean, that is all those physical feelings that she's feeling are real. I mean, there's no doubt, but you all know about the fight and flight response. So they are happening to her. So they are perpetuating the problem because they're real. Make sense? Yeah. Okay, positive things I've got going for me, really important to include in your formulation. She's there. Good starting point. Not that you would say to it, you don't do that patronising, look, great, you're sitting in front of me, that's really positive, because that is quite patronising. But you note that, wow, she's turned up. That is a protecting factor. She's got fair judgment, intact cognition, she's employed. And that's really important. You don't have to include perhaps anxiety over unemployment, finances. She's got accommodation. And all of these are important. When you're working with someone, you need to know that if they're to do homework tasks, they've got a home to go home and do them in. So all protecting factors. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Would you put that she also has family, like she does have a social
network? She lives with someone. The reason I didn't put that is that there's not enough information to work out if that's good or bad.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm always hesitant with family because they can either be toxic or wonderful. So, but exactly right. Well done. Exhausted? Okay, so 10 minutes, I'm so sorry.